That's what I'm saying. So you agree with me?
Inherently, you should be in the right between
so there's got to be some connection. Can you explain the connection of death? Where did death come into equation? Because wait. Because wait. Because going by your concept, all the other people.
Then 5 minutes
Stop all the other people. If I'm not mistaken, all the other people that are coming have been born since that time.
You've been in now for years.
So he said, man, why you didn't live a British for eternal life? How long did that happen?
I don't want to stay here.
What do you got going in France with the riots?
Oh, Israelites will return to take down Islam.
Speechless.
It's like taking like hours.
I'm ashamed that he's English. I'm ashamed that he's English.
But he's not English, boss. His money's okay. I was worried about it. Just think that's they call it strong.
Oh, well, okay, not very long. Yeah.
We don't really have that so much.
Oh, we don't know about Captain Tackle. We don't know Captain Tackle on the Yes, King of England. Yes.
How would you be able to establish
a couple of years ago. Right. So are you bro, Dylan,
Oh, right. So what was the name of those? The name of them channels?
oh yeah,
Might give them a look. Because I noticed that when you look at the sort of Muslim channels, their videos, they're really restricting the videos that they put up nowadays.
really?
Yeah. The only one who tries to put up, there's one called Dawa to Soul. He tries to put up most of his videos. But if you look at the other ones like SF Dawa, SC Dawa, or what's the other one? United on Hack. They all of them restrict their videos that they put up. They only like half of them going up.
Oh yeah, because they don't want the full thing, isn't it? They do that a lot. I realised.
Yeah. So what was the name of that first track? The one that you?
Glorified Message. That's mad. Yeah. That comparison between the Almadi and that is actually really, really. Like I was even rewatching it again. I was like, whoa, okay. The video, the recent video that I was working on, it's definitely give that a watch. It's really, really in depth because you know a lot about the scriptures and everything. So it's just gonna, the puzzles will just basically fit. You'll see, it's just quite good.
And what's the other one you mentioned?
Kingdom Covenant.
You're probably right. As I get older.
It's one of my
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. You only live once. Yeah, this country has sex with 3 or 4 women his whole life. Your life's in there.
All right then. All right.
That's how you start. If you don't, it will become talking it in the face.
We'll be there. I would love to be there.
That just They are worshiping God.
No, it's talking about people.
God.
No, it's referring. Look at what you said.
Because the name. Like he touched my one.
I want Russia to adopt Western. Look what this is. Mary was left the book all answer the question, why did your God allow Virgin Mary to say, give me one reason. Because he had to, because he wanted to save mankind. Mary's suffering did not save, Mary's suffering did not save mankind. It never enriched the gospel in any way.
That's why.
By your loving God the Father, with the Lamb chosen us, that He chose for us.
It looks like you're bored.
Huh?
Looks like you're bored.
Bored?
Yeah, you're just standing around.
I was very busy today.
Yeah.
Today is not that many people, but the ones who are here, there's plenty of them talking to each other. Also, it's very cold.
But it looks like you're trying to find some weak Christians that you can use the old "Is Jesus God" on.
That's a good thing you got there.
What
Because I'm trying to look for somebody to talk to. And that's it, right? It's only usual people.
Yeah, because if there's anyone who's too difficult, then it doesn't look as good, does it?
Huh? I got everything there, don't worry.
Yeah.
race, alien.
So what?
All I need to do is just open up one of these pages, and that's it.
Yeah. So what do you think about? Yeah, because this is something which is interesting. Is that why are the Muslims losing control of the young people?
No, they are not.
Huh?
Where did you find the Muslim losing control of the young people?
Well, like my man Siraaj over there. So were you here earlier when because people were telling me about the things that happened?
I don't know. I never heard of it. If I don't hear anything, otherwise he's a young guy. Otherwise he's a young guy. He knows a lot. You know?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that what he was doing seems like it almost caused a fight.
Well, I don't know because I'm so busy myself. Why? I don't know why.
Well, so
fight with who?
Oh, with Bob.
Oh yes.
But
all I know is I was standing over there and we were speaking.
Yeah.
And Bob and they came over there right in the middle of our meeting.
Yeah.
And then they went away. Then they come back again. I don't know what happened. I told them, look, we are speaking here. Go somewhere else.
Oh, well, even another example is last week. I saw some. There was a Christian guy standing on a stool trying to preach.
Okay.
And there was some Muslims, and they were like mocking him. So I just noticed it seems as if rather than talking to him in a friendly way, they were mocking him, and it just seemed a bit. It's as if certain Muslims are trying to talk against Christians or mock them or harass them like Siraaj was doing, and we just noticed that other Muslims don't stop them. So it's like it's a plan that the Muslims have where they let certain Muslims cause trouble, and then the other Muslims come along and say, no, Islam is fine. But
Islam, come on, man. You've got so many Christians. Like, what about, are you Christians?
Yeah, I follow Christ.
Yeah, you want to look at your First World War, Second World War. Millions of your Christians killing each other, isn't it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, but I'm talking about controlling young people, the younger Muslims.
Yeah.
So I've noticed the younger Muslims, whenever they cause trouble, here, the older Muslims don't try and stop them, and I've noticed that. It seems like a consistent theme.
I don't know about that, but there's so many of your young Christians in jail. What would you say about that then?
No, but where are they? If you could show me them causing problems, then I'll go and try and stop them.
I got nothing to say. You always seem to be like anti-Muslim, things like that, you know.
No.
You always want to speak with me. Now you got your camera, you're trying to speak to me, and you're trying to tell that Muslim youngsters don't have manners, that we can't control them. It's like only Muslim can't. But how comes Islam is spreading? Your churches are closing. Look, yesterday, I went into a Muslim place of worship. I found a leaflet there. They're buying a church, a very big church.
Right.
Muslims are buying. And the other day as well, I went to the masjid, also found another one. The Muslims are going to buy another one. So your churches are closing down, man. And our Muslim places of worship, masjids growing in numbers. The number of Christians going down, like in 2011 census in United Kingdom, US 60% Christians, and the census 10 years later in 2021, now you have 46% Christians, 14% down.
Right.
And by the next census, let's say after 10 years in 2031, I presumably think the number of Christians is going from 46% is going to go down to about maybe 32%, 30%. So Christians everywhere is going down.
But you know that Jesus explained that in the Bible.
What did he?
All right, I'll give you this. This is Matthew 7 and 13.
Anyway, sometimes again.
No. Don't you want to? Why do you want to hear Jesus? Are you scared of him as well?
No. He was a prophet.
Yeah, whatever.
The famous yard.
2 out of 3 leader, I guess. 2 out of 3. Hopefully you might be able to hold somebody.
You can only talk about God in the presence of a belief. Of course, take belief away, God becomes nothing.
I'm not scared.
That's it. How do you know God? How do you know God? You only know God by believing. Take belief away. That's right. That's all the thing. No, nothing. You just know a God by believing in the book. Drop belief away. God does not exist in all. It falls down in the sea.
You have never recognizing God.
They're also like a player.
Trying to get your chances up, passing on your faulty parasitic virus, your DNA, to some other poor victim, just because you wanted to have a bit of sex. That's what's going on there with all that makeup. Oh, you wouldn't have to make up on the phone. Your own goddamn DNA.
We have and it's only us let's be clear, the main political parties have given up on that. They are meant to be running the country. The World Economic Forum is totally against evidence-based science. They demand the end of democracy in order to impose fake science. Because you can only impose fake science by ending debate. Only if you have debate, fake science is destroyed. They must destroy debate. They need a new Stalinism, fascism, whatever you want to call it, in order to end science and end Okay, so how are we going to break this? Well,
I feel very cold for someone
the key implementers of the World Economic Forum policy are the local councils. The governments are up in charge, supposedly.
Like
But you
leaflets
look all of a sudden in this country, all of the councils, all of them are suddenly talking about zoning, low traffic neighbourhoods, ultra low emission zones, clean air zones, 15-minute cities. They're all doing it simultaneously. Where did that come from? It maybe came from
He said that it's right here.
I always, when I used to come down the park, I would never mention Jesus. I would always say, yeah, but not the way you're doing, because you don't, when you speak about it, no one can understand what you're talking about. There's no reference to why you would say.
هو بيصبرني.
Like, pick up your guys. There's no thing. I don't know. Like, there's a doctor's on its own, Imperial Army, you've got Hakran, and you've got Palmyrian. You know Palmyrian? Real white, look at these people. I heard that. You don't know if I'm Muslim. I'm asking you. One question. God, when he says he's more than one, or in a different sense. We have found Isaiah categorically says God is one alone. There's no one up before him, no one after him. There's none besides him. You cannot have any other clear text about God's oneness. It's simply saying, besides me,
there's none else. So where now do you contradict of that clear message about God's oneness and say God is one?
No, but the oneness is the unity of three persons. Listen, Isaiah 48, I am, that's God speaking. I have spoken and I have told him. I have led him forward and his way has been straight. Draw near to me and listen to this. From the beginning I have not spoken in secret. From time before it happened, I was there. And now the Lord God.
You don't believe in that you are son of God.
شو كرشة
How many we have one. How many?
جاي تتوافق معاهم انك شركه ليش بينهم اثنين جايين هنا غرامات.
شفتك تتكلم مع واحد محادثه مع هذا مش كويس.
Explore Channel UK. This is a guy I met in a beautiful guy in Salisbury. You're the guy with the insistence that by dropping a bag on the floor, you are proving that what is stick to the Of course.
Well, no,
I was going to say,
ran away from me last time. Well, this is
that's different. We're given apples on people's heads. Why did they use the apple?
Yeah.
Had to be picked up there by the tree, it has to be drawn up, sucked up, or extracted from the atmosphere. That has to be pulled up and given force to water and raise it right up, or a bucket, raise it right up and into a bucket, put that out. We'd stop at the thing. How are you doing? Sovereign being. Sovereign being. Hey, bro.
Alright.
This is mine.
Yeah, so what? This is different from last time. I'm sure the poster was different before.
Yeah, this is brand new. It's the first day I brought this poster out, actually.
Right.
New poster. Because I'm trying to take people away from the programmed debate about, or argument over Earth being flat.
Right.
Because the Earth being flat concept in most people's minds, they think about outer space with a flat frisbee or pizza and then water falling off the edge of that, and which is completely not what anyone who knows that the Earth isn't a globe is thinking. You know, we're all thinking we don't know what's outside of the realm that we're living in. We think that there has to be a containment because that's thermodynamic laws, that if we want to have a pressure system such as we live in, you have to contain it.
Yeah.
And so we don't make claims about what's outside of this home of ours, this realm of ours. We believe that we can only travel 100 miles up and 8 miles down, and maybe a few thousand miles east, west, or south, or north of where we are. And then we reach either conditions that are too harsh for us to travel, or we're limited by the Antarctic Treaty from traveling too far from the land, or there are restrictions to how far we can go, because simply the further you go away from Africa, or the further you go away from the center, which I believe to be Africa, then the colder it gets, and eventually it becomes so cold it's just ice, and there is nothing we can do to travel through that place.
Okay, but have you seen any of those videos where they people launch rockets?
Yeah.
The sort of well, I suppose they're not homemade, but they're, what do you call them? Amateur rocket launches.
Like a go fast rocket.
Yeah, you know, and
the silver one that hits the roof. Is that the one that seems to hit the roof?
No, the one where it goes up and you see you see the picture of the Earth, and the Earth is curved.
Yeah.
So do you think that they faked that picture, or is that a real? The footage? Do you think?
Two possibilities there.
Yeah.
One we're believing that what we're seeing is yes, this curvature, but they use a fisheye lens typically.
Yeah.
And a fisheye lens will always bend the horizon. But also, if you use a wide-angle lens and you just go off the balance of horizon, it'll either convex or concave the picture that you see. So that's not good evidence itself. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, a very famous TV scientist or evangelist for scientism, he says that at 150,000 feet, even Felix Baumgartner, when he did the Red Bull jump, wasn't high enough to see the curvature of the Earth. And actually, when you watch that jump of his, as he leaps out of the cupola, you can see from the camera that's set behind him that the horizon in front of him is just level and rising to your eye level. And that's always what the horizon does, is it always rises to your eye level. So there's plenty of pilots, airline pilots on record now on YouTube saying, no, there's no curvature. We don't allow for any curvature. We fly flat and level. 2016, I took a digital spirit level, and zeroed it on the plane before we took off, and I watched it the whole flight. And our nose stayed at 1.5 degrees nose up, which is to prevent us from dropping to the ground. And then we stayed for like that the whole way over to France. And then only in the last bit to settle did they drop it down to 0.5 degrees of nose up, and that's how we descended.
Right, but here's I suppose the easier one is, has anyone tried from Dover to see the beach at Calais?
Yeah, you can. It's a matter of very popular thing. On a clear day, you can see from Calais, you can see the White Cliffs of Dover.
No, but I mean the beach.
All of it.
The beach of
all of it, the whole 300 feet. And by the way, the distance between those two should have more than 300 feet of earth curve in it. So none of the White Cliffs should be visible from France, but we can see all of them from France. Yeah, absolutely. And guys have done much further experiments. One of the most famous ones is over Lake Michigan. From 50 miles, they can see Chicago on a clear day.
Yeah, that's not that far.
What? That's further than from Calais to Dover
Yeah, but they say they can see Chicago, but they're talking about the buildings.
Yes.
But I'm talking about the actual yellow of the beach, the bottom.
Yeah, well, I mean,
part.
okay. Look, when you're at sea level, when you're really close to the ground, you do get obscuration at the lower levels. You know, everything is compressing, as you know, like with the train going off in the distance, right? It's compressing, getting smaller. The tracks look like they're coming together, but you know that they're not. So that compression is occurring. The lower you are, the more that compression is happening at the bottom. But if you take, say, a hot air balloon and go up to 100 meters, all of a sudden that compression goes away, and you can see the whole of the image for another 5 miles. You know, if you're looking at a ship going away or something like that. So your low angle. So let's say you were looking at a painting, and you said, oh, you can't stand in the middle of the painting, you have to stand right at the very bottom. You know that's going to limit your view of it. But if you got to stand in the middle, well, because when we're standing right on the beach, the picture in front of us, we're right at the bottom of the picture. We're on the ground floor of a very massive panorama of sky going up 5 miles or higher, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, because you can see planes at that height flying by in your scene, right? So your scene is very high, but you're right at the bottom of it. Now, if you had to go up to, say, a mile of height, all of a sudden you're starting to level up with the picture that you're looking at, and now you can see into the 50 miles of range. In fact, the world's furthest acknowledged photograph over water is about 250 miles of Mount Carrigu, which is an island off of France that you can only see 2 days of the year when the sun silhouettes as it sets. It silhouettes it, and so you can see this from 250 miles away.
Right.
There are limits to our vision, and I think these have been used to say, well, because you see this, that means that. This is what you're seeing. But we can explain pretty much all of that.
Yeah, but I suppose if that's a more ambiguous one, I suppose a more well-defined one is, if I was to look up on the internet, you can go and find webcams of cities.
All right.
So if I go here and I can see it's daytime.
Yeah.
So if I calculate, okay, I know it's a globe, I know what time it is, so I know the sun's shining at this angle. So these cities on the globe will be in darkness because the sun's rays will be blocked.
Yeah.
So if I looked up those webcams for those cities and found they were dark, and they looked up some which on the globe should see the sun, and they were light, what conclusion should I come with
I'm not sure really, other than it's still light in a place, and the globe says maybe it should be dark. But I think some of the things don't quite make sense on the globe model that we're sold about. You know, it's rotating once a day, and that bringing it into the sunlight and so on. Because you know, it's meant to be rotating at about 1,000 miles an hour, which means the terminator line of shadow and light should be moving at about 1,000 miles an hour. But when you watch the sun lazily move over your head and the shadows lazily move by, that doesn't seem like it's moving anything like 1,000 miles an hour. So the flat Earth, a lot of people say against the flat Earth. How does it work if there's a sun above a flat Earth? Why doesn't it illuminate the entire Earth simultaneously?
Yeah.
Well, the simple answer to that is that the illumination potential of a very much smaller sun than the one we're told is, you know, 93 million miles away, is actually that it is only able to illuminate a part of the land masses or the known Earth at any given time. It still can be doing some sort of travel over a 24-hour journey over the land, which brings the morning rise and the afternoon set. But that doesn't negate it being impossible. Just because we have this idea that the sun is 800,000 miles wide or whatever.
All right. So what about if obviously to do this experiment you'd have to have people on site in each of the towns, well, the cities, I should say. If you get them to, or do you believe in if someone anywhere in the world, if they get a compass out, do you believe that the compass always does point north?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so what?
I mean, in Cape Town, for example, you've got a 25-degree declination, and as you travel up the east coast of Africa, that declination gets softer and softer and softer until eventually it's about 8 degrees, something like that. So it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, the further you are closer to the poles, the less well the compasses work. And so the story that the compass is always pointing towards some magnetic north and so on doesn't bear, you know, our real world experience. You know.
Right. So okay. So if we just stick to towns which are on the equator, and so we as you know, try and find people who are in different towns which are spread around the globe in a decent sort of spread. And then you get them to put a pole, hope the sun's out, which it should be in the tropics, and then they put a compass beside the pole, and then you look at the angle that the sun is coming down at the pole. If you then calculated from all of those angles that it must be a globe, what would you think about that?
Yeah, that's a 2,000-year-old experiment that was done by a guy apparently with a similar idea, but that presupposes the globe. You see. Because if I took your example and took like a very powerful street light that was here in London, and then I put pegs at 10-meter intervals away from that, you would expect those shadows to be longer the further I got away from this light source. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's all happening on a flat environment. So what is Aristophanes? You know, what he came up with was a so-called proof that we live on a globe, but it's a proof that you might have a small light source, and that if your friend in Alexandria and me over in Cairo at the same time go out and measure the sun, yes, well, it might be directly overhead for me, but that means that it's equivalent to 11:30. You know, let's say the sun's at my 12 o'clock directly above me position. He's west of me. He's about half an hour sun movement away. So his shadow is going to be longer because he's not got the sun directly above him. Right?
But I don't mean you. I mean, you actually measure the angle because then the angles will tell you the difference between something flat and something curved.
No,
because remember the sun's rays are straight. So you get a different. So you're saying the sun's rays aren't straight?
Have you seen crepuscular rays?
Huh?
Crepuscular rays, have you seen those?
No, I haven't heard of them. Okay,
but you've seen them, because you think about, like say it's a cloudy day where the sun's just up in the clouds, and you see this sort of pyramid or triangle shape of light coming through the clouds.
Oh, you mean that sort of the
It's
ray.
almost like the light of God. You know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
that
yeah,
image of like a pyramid image almost. You know, and these are called crepuscular rays.
Right.
And the best example I can give you to sort of associate this conversation is to say that when you look at the moon on a cloudy night, and say you can see the moon enough through the clouds, but it's only illuminating the blanket of clouds for about a mile around your head. Yeah. As you look further away from you, 5 miles into the distance, the clouds are actually black, dark.
Yeah.
But now if your friend is standing 5 miles in that direction and you ask him to look up into the sky, he will tell you that the moon is lighting the cloud just above my head, but not where you live.
Yeah, it would do. Because
no, because if this is a parallel body of light coming in, one moment, where it's a parallel body of light coming in, then if I took a sheet as an example and I put a powerful light against that, I'm lighting up that whole sheet. I'm not just lighting up a hot spot where you happen to be standing.
Yeah, but remember, as you travel, because of where
you haven't traveled though. We got two observers in two different places, having two different experiences of that light source.
Yeah, but remember, the two different people, the light that they're seeing from the light source is coming at a different angle for each of them.
No, you just said it was coming parallel.
No, the light is parallel to them,
but parallel to the whole Earth. I know obviously the moon is smaller than the Earth, but according to the mainstream model, the sun is 800,000 miles across, something like that. And so what comes to us is meant to be this parallel curtain, if you like, or wall of energy or light. So there should be no hot spotting, there should be no local effect. It should be, we are all seeing this wash of light. But when you stand on the beach and watch the sunset, the sunlight's coming right to your feet, bro. But 50 meters down the beach, somebody else with his girlfriend, he's going, look, the sunset's coming right to our feet. Yeah, because it's an individual light sort of experience that you're having with I believe, an energy wave, and that depending on your position, it triangulates around you. It always triangulates you. If you've ever traveled against the moon and watched it on a train, I have, watched it on a train, how it just follows you. It just seems to follow through the clouds or whatever. It just kind of follows with you. Yeah, it's tracking you. The sun that you see is tracking you. Okay.
It's nice to meet you, but will you promise to read this if I give it
I
to you?
will promise to read it.
Right.
Thank you. Tell me your name before you go.
Jill.
The value of a soul. Thank you, Jill. It's been lovely talking to you.
Bye-bye. Are you going to come here again?
Oh yeah. This is my first visit of the year, but I'll be back. I'll see you again, Jill. Yeah, so I believe, obviously what we're taught, I understand what you're taught, because for 47 years I was on the globe, man. I believe the moon landings and all of that stuff. So I know the science. In fact, when I first found this in 2015, I had to go back and relearn my science just to make sure that I wasn't being hoaxed and fooled once more. But let me tell you that all my observations since then have proven to me that this place that we stand on doesn't spin, doesn't move. And there's no science experiment that will prove that is moving. Even Einstein himself says there's no birthbound experiment that can be used to demonstrate Earth's movement.
Right.
That's the one thing. The second thing is that water, we know, must be contained. If it doesn't be contained, it runs downhill. But when it is contained, it'll settle always level. A little meniscus on the side for surface tension, but otherwise it's level, no matter the size of the container. So why, if it's a bath or an Olympic swimming pool or a massive lake, Kariba or Lake Victoria or one of the Great Lakes in America, which is where they've taken this photograph of Chicago from 50 miles, which should have over nearly 2,000 feet of curvature, so all of those buildings should be obscured. That we can repeatedly demonstrate how these things are a trick of the eye, and those tricks have been used to kind of make us believe that everything is, we're insignificant, we're within some kind of lucky strike Big Bang rather than we are the center of creation, and that we should not have government and religion shackling us down and making us feel small.
Right, so going back to the one where I said about the webcams at different times of day.
Yeah.
So when the different people look.
One more thing before I go. My friend has just been telling about you, and she said, oh well, he ought to have this as his song. The rain in Spain falls
mainly on the plane. Indeed, on an aeroplane too. Yes, and NASA have got documents. NASA and the US military have got the documents that have been leaked or come out that show that what they're doing is they're building craft fixed-wing aircraft to work over a stationary, non-rotating Earth. That's how they build.
Yeah, but one,
go back to your question.
Yeah, I'm more trying to go with experiments that normal people can do, where we don't need like a government to test it.
Yeah.
So
you mean like water running uphill? Well, water running uphill and clinging to the underside of a globe, you can't test that, but you believe it.
Well, it depends what underside is, though, isn't it?
Does it?
Who determines what is up?
Your senses would tell you. If I turned you upside down, you would know immediately that you were upside down.
Right.
If you were on a plane and the plane dropped a little bit, you would know that. Yes, yes. You went on a funfair ride, you would immediately know if your body was taken from the normal perpendicular to anything other than perpendicular. Your body is so finely tuned that the moment you start losing balance, your body immediately is starting to allow for that, to put your foot backwards so you don't fall over. Immediately. But we're told that we can walk down the side of Africa, even fly down in 11 hours and change our perpendicular by 90 degrees and not notice a thing of it. I can't measure it on digital instruments. The gyroscope won't show you that you've changed your aspect by 90 degrees. Like I say to people, like if Africa was here, right, on the side, of the globe, and hot air was to rise up away from the globe, from the surface, because it's not attracted by gravity anymore, or helium, rise up. Why doesn't it just continue going up around the side of the globe until it gets to the very top of the globe, which should be really what is the top?
Yeah, but then if we go by...
This you can't test, brother. What you're about to offer me is, but because if maybe. You can't test what you're about to say to me. I'm telling you that I can prove to you that water is level. That's a proof that you and me can do. In fact, when you were a 3-year-old kid, you knew that if you had a little boat in your bath, that water had to stay level, otherwise the boat would turn over. And it would always stay level.
Right, but
that you can test for yourself. So if I made your bath 1 quadrillion times bigger, are you going to tell me now that bath surface is going to start forming a ball?
No, because the gravity. Huh? So you believe? So what do you think it is? So you believe gravity?
Gravity is given to you by the white man scientists, bro. Let me tell you, that's all Jesuit bullshit.
Right. So what is it that holds the water down inside the bowl then?
Its own density. You know, remember that we're in this moment in time, we're in an environment of air, all right? If we filled this Hyde Park up with water, you and me would float above it, right? Because we are less dense than the water. Yes.
But I'm trying to work out what makes it go in that direction.
Because it is more dense than the air.
Yeah, but something has to determine the direction.
Well, because on a flat Earth, it's very easy. On a flat Earth, there is only one up and down. So gases and hot things rise up, and cold things and heavier things settle down. And the water will go down so level, will go down and fill the bottom of the pool. But if I drop something heavier than the water, like an anvil, then that would go to the bottom and displace the water at the bottom, the dirt, the sand, things like stones. They would displace water and push the water up, yes? Because they're heavier and more dense than the water.
Okay.
So things are either more buoyant or dense depending on the environment they're in.
Right, so what is it that makes the dense things go down? So you're saying density is the force?
All you need, there's no force. Things only get given a force. You see, everything settles in its own mean kind of density level, But when you pick up a pencil and drop it, you've already given it force by picking it up. When the apple tree draws the water off the ground and forms an apple that weighs 150 grams, it actually picked up that water off the ground. And then it broke the stem and it came back to ground, came back to its level or its density. It would float on water.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Anne.
So I remember talking to
Yeah, I remember you.
my son.
Nice.
Before the lockdown.
Yeah, I remember. Can I give you my new flyer to take away? Yes, please do. I've got your card here, but let me give you another one.
That's not the card.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, is God within? Yeah, when you receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior,
then He is in.
Yes.
Yeah, God is within us. If you're a born-again Christian, He definitely is within.
All right.
Amen.
All right. Well, I'll beg to differ on that. I think that Christ is within each of us. But we can.
The Antichrist, the fake Christ.
Okay.
So there is going to be an Antichrist if you know the Bible.
Yeah, but I think the Antichrist is the Vatican.
Well, a part of it, but
and the Vatican.
He probably
and the Vatican gave us
the false prophet.
The Bible. The Vatican gave us the Bible. And the Vatican gave us, when I was 5 years old, I got my teaching through the Anglican Church. So the Vatican essentially gave me this Jesus died for my sins when I was 5. But then they also lied about the globe and all of this sort of stuff. So I think they are the Antichrist. So I'm not sure I would want to trust any message.
Actually, they worship Lucifer. There's nothing Christ about the Vatican inside. They deceived billions of people, led them to hell.
Yeah, and the British monarchy, you know, have been talking about a globe. I mean, it's not just the Vatican. The Vatican are the spiritual wing.
Yeah.
Then there's the banking, and then there's the political.
Yeah.
So there's 3 different sides.
And there's Washington D.C. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the military.
Yeah. Well, that's owned by the British.
Yes, because they never won their independence, like you said earlier on.
Yeah.
Americans never did. So Washington D.C., just like City of London and Vatican, is outside of the control of the country they're in.
Yes, but did you know that the Bank of England
holds your birth certificate?
Pardon?
Your birth certificate. Yes, you know about the birth certificate scam.
No, the Bank of England, as a result of Black Lives Matter, has put on an exhibition which finishes in April on slavery, and it's absolutely amazing. They've admitted so much, but somebody I met that introduced me to it, he said that he went, and then they were very good and very honest and open. And then he went round the corner and set foot on a Rothschild setup, and all the girls began to go enemy, enemy, and so the Rothschilds have got their thing just round the corner.
Yes, but these are court Jews. They were given the rights by the Vatican to become the bankers of the world.
Who?
The Rothschilds. They're not the biggest power. The Rothschilds are like the PR department, just like the Tony Blair and Boris Johnson of the banking control cartel. So they run the banking for the system.
Well, you know, it was.
And of course it was a Rothschild that was given Israel, right?
Yes, well the wrong people set it up, but you see it was prophesied that it would be set up as a nation, and sometimes God uses, the true God, uses the wrong people for his purposes, and they have been set up, but they've gone back in unbelief, but a lot of them are now believing on the truth.
I do wonder though sometimes whether the Bible isn't being used by the controllers of the world as a playbook to say this is what we must do next kind of.
Yeah, but they manipulate this false prophets. Even, you know,
we are in the Laodicean. You know the Bible a bit, do you?
It is the truth.
Well, the Laodicean age.
Sir, you have to have wisdom and discernment.
Yes.
Not be led around by
absolutely, like sheep.
But by God.
Yes. Well, that's why I only need God. I don't need any other. Although I revere Jesus, I revere Muhammad as a speaker of man should do good and do right by God.
Well, you know his wife was a Roman Catholic, and he doubted his visions, and she assured him it was okay.
Yes.
Years old.
But
they don't have any source material. I hope you look into that more.
That's why I think.
Somebody who's an absolute tyrant.
No, but again, like people will say that Jesus' message has been usurped as well. You know, I think that the message that they were bringing was one of love. Actually.
Yeah.
Yes, but love is. I mean, if you see, heaven exists and hell exists. Now, love has died to save you the penalty of your sin going to hell.
Or is it not possible that we live in heaven or hell depending on how we live our lives now?
Oh, that is ridiculous.
Okay,
sure. I'll be.
We'll talk to you.
I'll
the ladies have got to go. Lovely to see you again, and we'll debate some more in the future.
Promise to read that.
I will read it. I promise you. I will.
And
thank you.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, brother.
Where are you?
So, it's just what you're saying about the density thing. It's interesting because, so do you believe that all of the physics that they've been taught at school, all those equations rely on a value for the force of gravity?
Yeah.
So you think that all of those are wrong?
Yeah.
Right.
I think all of that. I think that it's pseudoscience when you and I can't test it ourselves. So if I have to insert into my formula something that I have to just accept, just like Jesus died for my sins, I just have to accept that. Then I'm like, no, hold on a minute. That's not something that feels right for me to have to accept that, because when it comes to what gravity is, I can accept that, you know, if I lift something up, it'll fall down with a certain force depending on how high I lift it and how much weight I've just lifted, yes? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the medium that it's in If it's a vacuum, if it's this atmosphere, if it's water, if it's mercury, it's going to have a different effect on that object, depending on how dense the medium is that I'm dropping that thing. The football will only go as far as the water surface. I'd have to push it down to get it underwater, and of course it's going to want to try and equalize and come right back up to its balance. Now I could do that on an Olympic-sized swimming pool, or I could do that on 1 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. It's going to be the same result.
Right. So all right. So we've got gravity, which pulls. Well, what they say is it pulls towards a larger mass.
Yeah.
But I presume that you believe in.
That's one version of gravity. There's the time and space dilation, or bending of time and space. That's the other. So there's Galileo and Einsteinian gravity. There's two competing schools of gravity, just by the way.
Right. Do you believe in centripetal or centrifugal force?
I think that you can demonstrate centripetal force by, like we were told in school, take a bit of water and string in a bucket, swing them over your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's demonstrating that. But even when I was 12, 11 years old, I said to my teacher, but gravity can't be the string in the bucket. But that's what we're told to believe, is that just like the string in the bucket is creating that gravitational effect. And I'm like, no, that's not right, because you know what the water is. If I put a hole in the bottom of that bucket, that water is just going to fly right out of the hole in the bottom of the bucket, right? You know that.
Right, and so there's obviously a force pulling it out. Is that? Would you say
you're creating force by spinning?
Yeah, but you're creating a force which pulls the water out.
So if the spinning Earth, wouldn't that create a force that would want to push everything out?
So gravity is not the main force in the universe. That's correct.
Electromagnetism is the main force.
Plasma.
In fact, plasma. But you see, electricity and magnetism together make incredible forces, you see. And so even in quantum physics, they'll say that electromagnetism is like 1 unit of strength. Gravity is 0.000001 strength. It is so small, it is almost not even worth talking about, gravitational force in quantum physics. When they're talking about how big things work.
In the planetary is the same in the universe. So gravity is a force, but it's not the strongest force.
Yeah, no.
And so everything is also connected to electrically, like the planets and the sun.
Yeah.
And
so for us, the planets, the wandering stars, Mercury, Mars, Venus, these are plasma or energy points that are vibrating in the firmament or in the sky at a point where we just see them as a repeating pattern of light like this. If you look at them under a powerful camera yourself, not with a computerized telescope, but with just a powerful lens camera, and I've done this myself, and all you see is this light show going, and that's all that is that it's vibration, God's vibration, in a medium creating a light. And that's what we see as the stars. But the idea that they are rocks floating, no, this cannot work. In our physics, rocks do not stay up in the sky. They always will fall down to the floor.
And they even found out the formation of galaxies and stars.
Yeah.
They used to say because of, have you heard of Birkeland currents?
No.
It's a current for this scientist, Birkeland.
Okay.
He discovered this current, and they found out now that planets and galaxies, they form lines, spiral lines, way earlier than what they thought, and much quicker.
Okay.
And it's related to the electrical.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me offer you this to think that. So, are you Muslim?
Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in the Quran, it says that the sun and the moon, they're small lights, and they travel over the earth. I've had Shamsi here tell me the same thing. Agree with me? Yes. This is what it says in the Quran. So in the Old Testament, in the Bible, it says that the sun and the moon are small lights, and they travel over the earth, and they were created after the earth. Earth comes first, and then these small lights to give us night and day. So modern science has you believe that it's 93 million miles to the sun, and the sun is 800,000 miles wide. When we see what your senses tell you is a small light is in the sky, and like we were talking about the clouds, it's in the clouds just for me. There it is in the clouds, right? But over there in London, it looks dark to me, but your friend who's over there in London says, no, it's just in the clouds for me. You see, so the light show that you're seeing in the sky is like a personal thing, and that the stars are maybe hundreds of miles high, not millions of light years away and all of this sort of stuff. The sun is so close that there's guys with video footage where they can show you how the sun is playing in the clouds. It's actually playing inside of clouds. There's a guy who's flying on a plane, he's in the cockpit of the plane, and they're filming the sun just here outside of their cockpit in the clouds. It's not like it's a ball of light that's inside of
electrical charged light. Yeah, the sun. It's not. It doesn't come from the inside. They found out the sun is the most hottest on its surface.
Yes.
Not in the
core.
In the core.
Yeah.
Because of the electrical filaments. You know, you get electrical discharge and all these stuff. Yeah.
I mean, exactly what the sun is and the moon are, I don't make claims about that. I used to believe the mainstream science. Yes, they know what they're talking about. Yes, they landed a man on the moon and all that sort of stuff. Now I know that all of that stuff is designed by the deceiver to minimize our connection to Allah, to God, to the source of creation. Because the source of creation, Allah, is closer to you than the jugular vein in your neck. And this is the temple of God. I think that you are a representative of Allah. Small, Allah is all. Allah is everything. But we are God's creation inside of that. And this science wants you to believe that we came from monkeys. I know Muslims don't believe that.
There's no point. Everything is random.
Yeah. It's nothing for it. I don't have a soul. That there isn't like an eternal story going on here. That I'm connected to eternal.
Actually, if you follow the mainstream science, they don't believe. They believe the universe is not only created randomly out of nothing.
Yes.
But it's like a mechanical robot.
Yeah.
There's no spirit. There's no spirituality in nature.
Of course.
There's a spirituality.
Yes. And there's no spirituality in saying to people, I know you don't believe this, but I used to believe this, and most people in the Western world believe that we evolved from apes. And before that, the apes were something else, and then eventually fish, and then we came out of the sea. Well, this is against God. Because Allah had the intention to create something, it would create it perfect. Not throw a bomb into a scrapyard and hope the Ferrari is going to come out the other side.
Yeah, if you
never
look
going to
into
happen.
the universe, it's awesome. It's
beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And we come from beauty. We come from love. You see, and you guys know this a lot in Islam. But
most Muslims, they accept the Big Bang theory and blindlessly, you know.
Yeah.
But if you look closely into, because we as Muslims believe there's a direct line with the heavens.
Yes.
But if you follow the Big Bang theory, you're going back in time. You're dealing with black dark matter and dark energy and all these.
And it also makes God far away. That there could be light years between
light years away.
It's all here. It's all actually very, very close. The sun and the moon are close, the stars, even the galaxies. What they say in the mainstream is that their telescopes can see light years away. Well, I think their telescopes can see thousands of miles, but not light years. So when they see it, you know, the original galaxies were seen with telescopes that they were so simple. They can't see those that far away. So I think that these things are actually, they're there, but they tell you that they're millions of light years away, and there's other life living on them, but it's actually just light and energy having a vibration. In the same way as your body has got different chakras or energy points, where there's the heart and the liver, they have their own frequency.
We are electrical beings.
Yes.
Our heart is electrical, our brain is electrical.
Yes. We can bring you back to life with an electric shock or kill you with an electric shock. You know, so we are all electrical systems, but inside of your body, you've got the one big system, but inside of it, you've got smaller systems that are controlling different parts of your body. Yeah? And they want to, in the same way as that in the microcosm, this is happening, in the macrocosm, this is happening. So Saturn, Mercury, Mars, Venus, these energies are mimicked in the small version inside of you. This is why when you are born, the time you are born, this has a bearing on the kind of personality that you are, because you are born under certain energy, Saturn energy, maybe under Aquarius or all of these sorts of things. It actually has a bearing on you, because when we look up in the stars, we are looking at Allah's creation.
Of course.
This is Allah's creation. When I look in the mirror and I look at you, I'm looking at Allah's creation, you see. But you are the microcosm inside of the macrocosm. This is what I got here. You are
the Taurus. Is that the Taurus? What's that?
This is an electromagnetic Taurus, like an apple. And you and me are the same, where you are a Taurus, the small apple, and our whole universe is one big apple, and we are inside of that, walking inside of that apple.
So you believe, then you probably also believe you have your physical body.
Yes.
But then you have
the higher body.
Yeah, but like the electrical.
Yes.
That's connected to the ether and the.
Yes, to the ether for sure. And I say, you know, like the fun fair, they have those little cars you can ride, and they have a little metal probe on the roof.
Yeah.
We're like that. We have this connection to God
antenna.
with the antenna. Through the pineal.
Because actually, I don't know what you think about these pictures. You say it's fake?
Well, yeah, cheers, brother. Salam alaikum. So I think that that one is that's probably not
the two on the
these.
left.
So is it possible that if I was trying to convince you that there was an international space station, that I might dress up a U-2 bomber? Which, by the way, people didn't even know the B-52 bombers and all these things were even in existence. What if they were flying at 60,000 feet and they had lights on them to make them look like they were the ISS, and they could tell you that your ISS is flying overhead of you tonight? Let me ask you you're a smart guy, so let me ask you to think about this. The ISS is flying at 250 miles high. Yeah, you know that. That's 400 kilometers. Bro, you can't see a city from 400 kilometers or 250 miles away. Yeah? You can't see a city from 250 miles. How is it possible that you're going to see a thing as smaller than a football stadium at 250 miles moving at 19,000 miles an hour? I do not think that this is possible. I do not think that the materials that they made the ISS with are able to withstand the conditions that they tell us are in the thermosphere and all these places that the ISS is meant to be traveling. Let me offer you also, if you're bringing up the ISS, that we never saw it being built on the ground. Just like we never saw the lunar lander effectively working on the ground. They never got that thing to fly on Earth. So they just flew it to the moon and said, oh, it'll probably work because there's less gravity there to worry about. They've never shown us video of the ISS being constructed on the ground except in a swimming pool.
Right, so what do you think Ralph was looking at then?
Who?
What, the guy who actually observed it, Ralph?
I think that he's looking at some kind of satellite trick. So it could be that they're using like some kind of, you know what, what's it called? Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is a thing that take a flyer, have a flyer, take some information. So they could be flying, like I said, a plane that they have filled with that they have put some panels on. But the idea that you could see a light source at 250 miles, you know, the furthest that we can see a lighthouse is 80 miles.
Yeah, but remember what it's been illuminated by according to physics.
What?
The sun. That's pretty bright. Isn't it?
But you took that photo at night. That would be in the shadow of the sun. How can at 250 miles you be out into the light?
No, this was 360. It's 360 miles.
Let me ask these children.
Yeah.
Does anyone speak English here? No. Yeah? No, I don't speak English. He already knows speak English. Let me tell you guys that we've been lied to about where we live. We can't prove that we live on a spinning ball. Everybody knows that the lake and the bath water is level when it's at rest. So the idea that if you let it get big enough, it's going to start curving round cannot be demonstrated. It cannot be proven. So we say that the sea is level and that the earth is not moving. It is the sun and the moon that move and the stars that move over our head. Earth is flat. La Terra piatta, la Terra plana. Don't believe the NASA propaganda. Don't believe the NASA propaganda. God is with you. Spanish. Spanish. La Tierra plana. You can't fly up a... water would fall off. Oh well, good luck. There's a nice little hit there. A few students, you know, I've got to spread the word. That's what I'm here for. You know, it's nice having a deeper conversation with you, bro. But I do obviously need to try and spread the word as much as I can. Thanks for stopping in. If you're here, hey, Underground, you coming around today, or Kevin Wilder, Gordon Zola, Squirrel Sniper? Hey, brother. So I hope all is good there in the chat room. I haven't been able to. I'm talking to this gentleman here, trying to convince him to review everything that he believes. I hope you guys are having fun in there. It's quiet for me today, but you know, it's good to be out here, and it will build up a head of steam. I know that it's going to be an interesting summer. Next month I got some interesting stuff coming up. I want to give these ladies a fly over there because they've caught a sign of my thing. Don't walk away.
اوكي ما بصارخ عليك ما بسوي انا انت اقول قدام وانا بعمل انا
hit that like button though. Thanks for those who have. See, there's 54 likes in the room. And sub to my other channel, the Trinities, if you don't mind. Because who knows, you know, I almost every day I kind of go, not every day, but it's like a constant concern nowadays that this channel gets washed away in, you know, another year. I've been a year and a quarter since I started this one up, and it does take a long time. I'm grateful to have reached 1,200 subs. So if that's one of you, then, well, probably most of you are subbed, but thanks anyway for the subbing. We're building back up again. We're at about 33% of the last channel size, so couldn't help myself. It's cold today. Not as cold as it was the other day. So yeah, so what's your next
well, I was just going to say, you should
defense of things that you and I can't test ourselves?
No, you should look up this Ralph Vandenberg. It sounds like he's actually a big name in observing spacecraft.
Oh, okay.
With satellite.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't deny that I've seen some things in the sky that don't make sense, or I could write them off as satellites and that kind of thing. But when you really start to look into the ISS, you go, shit, man, it's very possible that they're doing this whole thing through sound staging, through using the Vomit Comet, that plane that can simulate 0G for 45 seconds at a time, and also when they do a spacewalk, that they're doing it in the same swimming pool that they do the testing in.
Oh, but what do you think about the 0G though? Well, what do you think causes that?
Well, simply it's that you're falling faster inside of the craft than you would normally fall under terminal velocity. The craft is falling so fast that you basically can essentially float. It's what seems like floating, really, isn't it?
But then how would density then affect? How would it change inside the craft? Because it's a sealed craft.
Yeah.
So the density inside the craft will be exactly the same, no matter what speed they're going.
Well, have you done much flying in planes?
Yeah, flying.
Why do they get you to wear a seatbelt?
Oh, because if it finds a pocket of air where it drops, you float up, don't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've answered your question.
Yeah, because that's
You've answered your question.
Yeah.
And you know that if they don't pull that plane up after 45 seconds, maybe a minute, it's going to smash into the ground so hard they won't even be able to get a piece bigger than the matchbox.
Yeah, but I still don't see what that has to do with. Because remember, you said it was density that makes the heavy.
Yeah, but you're temporarily overcoming that in the same way as you are when your plane hits an air pocket. Your density in the seat all of a sudden goes away as the plane drops beneath you.
But it doesn't. Remember, density is a static property.
Okay, but
that's related to temperature, isn't it? So something that's hotter, the density reduces because it expands.
Yeah, that's right. That's why hot air balloons work.
Yeah, so it's only temperature that can make density change.
No. Well, okay. So let's not use the word density in terms of my density and my buoyancy. Let's use buoyancy rather, because my density may not change, but my buoyancy and your buoyancy would change if we jumped into a swimming pool, right? And if we jumped into the Dead Sea, which is very salty, our buoyancy would be super great. I've done that myself actually. So I float much higher on the water in the Dead Sea than I do in the normal sea.
Right.
Then the salinity will have an effect on my buoyancy. We know that. So my buoyancy is affected by the general atmosphere around me, or the environment around me. So if it was water, I float. If it's air, I stand on the ground. I go to the ground. So in a plane, there's sort of you haven't really changed that. You're staying at the same level until the plane hits an air pocket, and then all of a sudden the plane has dropped beneath you more quickly than you can return to the plane floor. But you will very quickly return to the playing floor, right? And there will be, but you're sort of cheating the natural physics of falling by the plane falling faster than you would fall. So the plane's taking the hit, if you like, and then keeping you, instead of simply as you do in a plane that hits an air pocket, you sort of briefly leave the seat just for a split second, right? And then you're back down in it. What they're doing is they're going into an air pocket and lasting for 45 seconds, and they're creating that sort of neutral buoyancy, if you like,
right?
By what you admit, by flying the plane downhill, flying into the ground, essentially.
Right. So with that change in density.
No, I didn't say change in density.
Oh, right. Change in buoyancy. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know of any formulas that can be used to calculate that?
But I also know, well, not formulas, but I know experiments that can be shown to demonstrate that. When you take like different liquids, oil and washing up liquid and water, and you put these into a test tube, they will all settle at their mean buoyancy level, right? Depending on their density, the heaviest ones will go to the bottom and the lightest ones will go to the top. And then you can take objects like a bolt, an iron bolt,
you'll fall through
some things will fall through. Some things will stop partway down, and some will float right on the top. Really. And that's all to do with the environment or the medium that they're in and their natural buoyancy. So the most buoyant things are going to float, and the most dense things are going to go to the bottom.
Right. So if you know we got in the world, we have the Americans and Chinese are sort of enemies. The Russians are enemies. So if all three of their scientists do independent experiments, and they want to do the plane, with the people floating in the plane. If they, all of them independently said, well, this scientist said that that this what's it called? Something with gravity is 9.8 meters per second. So then they say, okay, so all we got to do is get a plane to accelerate to that speed, and they should float. So if all three of them did that experiment and found that the people in the plane did float, then would there be a conspiracy? Would you say that all three of them conspired to?
I think that works. I don't think that's a conspiracy. But you can overcome that. Like you said, if it's 9 meters per second, if you can fly downhill at 9 meters per second, then essentially you would be taking away that force if you were inside of that craft.
The problem is you have to accelerate at that speed. So that's the reason why they can only do it for such a short. Because you have to accelerate at that speed in order to have
they have to fly down. But I mean, once they fly this parabola, and once they get to the top of it, they're going down. Now we reach, and you see it. The guys that have done. I've watched the videos of them doing it, and then as they go down, then it takes a little while, and then they start to get lighter and lighter and lighter, and now they're able to float for a little while. But they can't control it perfectly. They're bouncing off the roof, and it's not perfect. But it's interesting that you bring these three nations up, Russia, China, and America, because I think that they pretend to be at war with each other, because they are at the space race level in cahoots. That they all know that they can't get out of this place, and that the people who run the show have been pretending that there is an outer space with aliens and all of that kind of frightening stuff for a few centuries now. And the idea that there were dinosaurs and evolution, and the dinosaurs went away under some meteor coming in, all part of the same science. Not all of these countries follow that science necessarily, but the idea that there's the Russian space agency, the Japanese space agency, Chinese, and so on, means that they are at the top table. You could step away from Ukraine versus Russia, and Russia versus the West, and China versus everybody else. You can step away from that because you know that these are all paradigms getting us at war with each other and fearful of each other, and they justify more military spending, more controls and limitations on your movement, and more taxes, by the way, as well. So there's a whole lot of benefits to the people who run the system to have this idea that we're at war with Russia and war with other people, but and yet they will still carry the American space astronauts up to the space, to the ISS on their Russian what do they call it? But so they still will help each other in space, but they'll be in war on the ground.
Right. So makes no sense. So I suppose going past all what we're talking about, What difference does it make whether it's a flat or a globe?
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, on a flat Earth, there could be a lot more continents. There could be other lands. The hidden lands of what's it called? My mind's gone blank. But
like Atlantis.
Yeah, all of that could be. There could be other continents, and in fact, there's an American admiral on records who spent the 1930s and 40s and early 50s exploring Antarctica. Admiral Byrd, famous for having charted parts of the North Pole, apparently.
Yeah.
He is on record saying, I found land bigger than America and resources that would last humanity for centuries. And then soon after saying that, they locked Antarctica down with the Antarctic Treaty. So you and I can't travel past the 70th parallel. Commercial flights don't travel down that way, even though it would be quicker for a plane to fly under the Antarctic to South America from Australia, for example. And we don't do any research for mining. We don't do any of that stuff. And even though we've been told that there's more land, so I think one of the tricks of the globe is that it hems you in. It's a prison because you can't leave it, and you can't go anywhere other than the places that they told you exist. This is one of my hypotheses, and a lot of evidence has come to light that there are ancient people who talked about Shambhala or other places that were outside of our place that either we've been to or at certain times we could have traveled to or could travel to or is closed off for now. But there is the prospect on a flat Earth that there's a lot more land. That's the one thing. The other thing is that just like in religion, they give you religion gives you a Vatican. Religion gives you a control center that needs to do the thinking for you, needs to take tithes from you, and needs to tell you what to think and how to be and all that sort of thing. Well, this science that has us coming from monkeys and Big Bang and all of this kind of thing, that actually reduces the creator's place in all of this, So for me, when I found flat Earth, it was one of the first things I was like, wow, maybe there is a God, maybe there is a creator to this place, rather than, because Big Bang is not a God creation. Big Bang is just lucky strike. Big Bang is allowing monkeys to, become monkeys to then eventually turn into man.
Right, but I don't see why God would be out of it if it's a globe. I'm not sure why he'd be out of it then.
Well, because globe only comes from the Big Bang. The globe cannot exist without the Big Bang theory. It's like, how does the globe come to coalesce under its own mass around a sun that formed from a previous sun that was dust from something else billions of years ago? That's got nothing to do with a creator saying, hey, I'm going to design something beautiful. That's like saying, as I said earlier on to a guy, that's like saying I'm going to throw a bomb in a scrapyard and a DC-10 aeroplane is going to come out the other side.
Yeah, atheists love using that one. No, sorry, it's the Christians that use that one against the atheists, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So how could you? Yeah, how does that? That doesn't speak to a God. That speaks to random. And then they tell us we're in a Goldilocks zone. We're just so lucky to be in this place from the sun. If we're any closer, we'd fry. If we're any further away, we'd freeze. All of that sort of stuff. No, that's not creation.
All right. So it sounds to me so it's more of a being against what science are pushing rather than. So, because it doesn't seem as if the fact that it's a globe gets in the way of like trying to go for freedom. I don't see.
But maybe you're heading the wrong way for freedom when you still believe you're in a globe. See, because the globe still gives authority. Most people who believe in a globe but hate the system will still give this government some props. When I say no, these governments are simply, the toy boys of the world. Whoever runs the world, the governments are just the PR department of some superpower that controls the world. Same with religion. I give religion short shrift because I know that these religions have been designed to minimize you, to minimize me, to say that we aren't that important, rather than, wow, what if God breathed life into you intentionally to come as you are, not wait for billions of years for big bangs and monkeys and all of that nonsense. So no, I think that it puts our centrality into sovereignty right at front at the table. It says, no, we are meant to be the sovereign beings. Anything that's created by a man is subject to my sovereignty. Right. I should not have to bow to any authority here, whether it be Jesus, Muhammad, Boris Johnson, Donald Trump, Putin, all of these people are in the same kind of game to control your progress, your soul progress.
Right, but don't you find it interesting? Because I tried to speak this to someone else, that the fact that the people who are rich they seem to be able to like control things. You know how now we have things like the price rises.
Yeah, World Economic Forum and
but it's the fact that when the prices go up, the people just seem to mindlessly accept it. So do you?
Same with the nappies on the face thing in 2020.
Yeah, but when we read in the Bible and it explains about like Satan and how he could deceive people, that seems an explanation which can give us some information about what's happening. But if we don't use that explanation from the Bible, what would you then use to explain why is it people seem to be so easily manipulated?
I think that we've fallen for the deadly sins, greed, sloth, envy, all of this kind of stuff. So
but
we're kind of, well, I mean, if I'm right, if these theories are right, that we have been cyclically and over time we've been wiped out. Whatever was here over time has been taken away, and then new people have been repopulated onto the lands with a whole culture and a education system designed to steer their minds. So when we go to school, you're being trained like a dog to behave and to follow and to follow orders and stay in line, as it were. And even those who choose to go against that are still being programmed to be inside, even though they hate as I said earlier, even though they may hate the system, they're still being trained by that. Like a puppy, even if you beat on that puppy, it'll still come to you for food, you see. And so that's what they've done to mankind, is that they've whipped us with all sorts of dogma and restrictions and limitations and shortage and hardship, such that we would go along with the things that they, like I say to people, if I came to your village and said, I'm a security firm, and you said, we don't need your services, sir, I say, because we got no crime here, and I brought 3 of my bad boy friends next week in the night time to create crime for your town. Then I visit you a week later and you say, oh, we got money for you, we need your security, yes?
Yeah, but you realize in that situation there's something that's missing though. So if you have your peaceful town, what you also need is to have like a force which operates there, which tries to keep the stability, so to counter anything that can come in.
I get that, but I think that and that's good. But the thing is that force should be there to protect the town, not to protect the mayor of the town.
Yeah, but you see,
not to protect the biggest owner of a factory in the town. Yes, the corporation. That's what our corporate police now do. Is they protect the corporations. You and me as free men do not get protection the same as the corporation gets. So that's why when the corporation says, I'm going to mandate that you have to take a needle in the arm or a mask on your face, you got the boys in yellow here, the policy orifices, they're forcing people to do that stuff, That's against God, that's against your free will, but they're doing it for the corporation.
But I don't know if you notice how they did it, because they what they know is that they can't just force the people directly. You have to use their employers to do it, because that's
corporations.
So they're employers, and then what the corporations do, if any small companies don't cooperate, you come up with a clause in the contract whereby they have to, whoever works for them has to do it. But then all of that happening, the people themselves, we can still think, and there's still a way of countering.
Can we? You see, this is what I say to people: when you get robbed of your senses when you're 5 years old, and that's what happened to you, brother. When your teacher told you at 5 years old you're spinning, but your senses aren't telling you that you're spinning, because your senses cannot detect it. Your senses you cannot trust. When they tell you that, you start to not trust yourself anymore, and you trust the teacher, because the teacher knows something that you don't know. Well, this is the lie, is that you should know everything. The truth is written on your heart, according to God, is written on your heart, and I should not rob you of that truth. So my police force should not be empowered to rob you, and my teachers should not be empowered to rob you of your natural God-given senses, and your senses tell you that you are not moving. Your senses tell you that the water is level. But you're given an explanation as to like, oh, that ship is going away because the water is not level. And you're like, yeah, are you sure? Yeah, that's why. But I can give you other explanations, but that explanation is robbing you of your God-given senses. So now we don't trust ourselves anymore. That's why people, even though I've never seen a germ go from me to you and make you sick, people believe that shit even though they can't see it. Why? Because they are trusting higher authority.
But how would you explain the similar symptoms though? Not that I'm supporting the
flu is flu, bro.
Yeah, I'm
flu. Well, when I, back in the day, in the good old days, 2019 and before, when people said I got flu, they knew what they meant. Yeah. If I said to you, I had flu, you'd like, yeah, I had flu 2 years ago, it was quite bad. Yeah? We all know what flu is. You go to bed for a few days, you feel rotten, and you know your body is aching and sore and sweating and all of that sort of stuff. That's flu. And we need like a handbook on what kind of flu is that. You need a test to what kind of flu that is. That's flu, bro.
So how would you say it was transmitted then? Or would you
it's
say
not transmitted. Who's saying it's they're saying it's transmitted. I'm saying this belief that I could try. I went to South Africa for a year and I went around talking to the people there, and I was saying to them, listen, man, you're sitting on this taxi, like 10 people, 12 people in the same tiny little taxi that they drive around in South Africa. And you're sitting right next to the person and you're breathing in and out, and that air, the wind is going out the side of your mask and going into the side of the mask of your brother next to you. Yeah. So how is this stopping anything? If they said to me, Dave, you know, we got no COVID in the townships and stuff like that. You know, we don't get that yet. Because you guys are pretty robust. Your immune system is pretty strong. You know, at the end of the day, if you're going to get flu, it's going to be on you because you spent the night out drinking, partying, or you've been eating bad food.
Oh, so you're saying it's an internal illness that just comes in?
It is your own flu, yeah, it's unique to you. But it does come in times of the year, like in the winter. Why? Because the terrain has changed. You see, it's all about, people have been bamboozled into believing germ theory. Germ theory, I'll stress the word theory, like globe theory and gravity theory, is this theory that you and I could go and visit a hotel room. You and I could go visit a hotel room, and sorry, not a hotel room. We could visit a hospital, and tonight we go home and we're sick because the people in the hospital were sick. Never happens, bro. You visit Granny in the hospital, you never used to think about whether you're going to get sick. My mother was a nurse, intensive care nurse for more than 20 years. Never thought about her bringing sickness home. Didn't matter who she saw, what kind of condition they were in, didn't bring sickness home. We do not make each other sick other than by stressing each other out, perhaps. But we cannot make each other sick. Your body is going to say every 2 years, every 5 years, it's going to say you've got some toxins. I need to kick them out, the flu. I need, like a chimney flu, I need to kick it out, I need to spit it out, I need to cough it up. And your body will sweat and will cleanse itself for 2 or 3 days, 5 days, take another week or two before you're feeling strong like normal. And that's your own body coming to getting itself back right again, but that doesn't affect me.
Right, so
terrain theory.
So would you say that all these different like biologists who are agreeing on how viruses work, just in general.
Yeah.
Would you say, so you're saying that this is some global conspiracy where they've been told?
No. You see, it doesn't have to be conspiracy. Just like with NASA, you know, there's plenty of people and satellite engineers who will put what they believe satellites are going into outer space, but they could be on a helium balloon. The same is true with virology. Virology is one of those subjects that, again, you and I can't test that. They have to work on the basis of if this, then that. And we've never seen an atom, by the way. So the idea, we've never seen an atom. You cannot see an atom, only in a drawing. There's pictures of drawing.
Have you heard of X-ray crystallography?
No.
All right, yeah, that's a way they say that you can see the structure of atoms.
Okay.
But it's just a way of the way the X-rays diffract through.
Yeah. So you're saying something, and then the hypothesis is that what we're seeing, this observation, is explaining that. And okay, I'd accept that's a hypothesis, but it's not a proof. That's not to say that.
Well, they're getting an actual picture showing
of something. Yeah. But I mean, like, if I could capture something, because like in quantum physics, they'll tell you that, well, we can't actually take a picture of the atom. We can say that with 92% accuracy, it's going to probably be in this area here, which which happens to look like a torus. But if they plot the area that it could be, it's like, oh, that looks like a torus, by the way. That looks like an apple. So it's all energy flowing, but is it like little particles of dust, tiny little particles? No, I don't think so. It's all light. It's all waves. It's all frequency. It's not dust particles smashing together and getting bigger dust particles until it becomes a fish, until it becomes a monkey, until it becomes you. No, that's not how it works. We are all frequency. We are all vibration. And so a virus might well be a particular errant vibration in your body, so that you and I might be able to take a certain test and our bodies might show up a particular vibration. Now the science boys will say, when you see this, you call it that. And same with COVID. When you see these symptoms, you can call it that. That's how they did it in the beginning.
Right, but that frequency, so you're saying that it is something which can appear in your like your nasal fluids, because remember, you could get the nasal fluids out, put it on the dish, and sometimes the little line will show up and sometimes it won't. So
oh, you mean with that test?
Yeah, the lateral flow test.
Yeah.
So when someone does it, there's people who've taken the tests and they see different results.
Yeah.
But they're getting it from their own body, so it's not someone.
Yeah. But Kerry Mullins, you know who that is? Kerry Mullins is the guy who invented the PCR test, and he said it's not fit for what it purpose.
Yeah, but still.
And we know lots of people who've had false positives, and so the test itself is so like 1960s. It's so inaccurate. It's so bullshit. I mean, a pregnancy test is far more accurate than that in terms of and it turns out, because I'm not a studied doctor, but the doctors that I've listened to and other virologists and all of this, because I did a lot of research on it in 2020, is that one, there's no consensus in the science class. And the same true with quantum physics, and Einsteinian physics. There's no consensus. We go around like, oh, well, they say this. Well, yeah, but if you actually look, it's just like Christianity or Islam. There are so many variations of that same theme that they're not all in agreement with each other. The same is true in these biologies.
Well, it's the same thing in quantum physics as well, because you can't see it directly, so you have to, there's a bit of guesswork involved.
Yeah. So and there's people who in science who scoff at quantum physics. You see, so it's not like oh well, it's a done deal. It's sewn up science. And the same is true with this medical stuff. Is that yes, your body is having a reaction. Some say it's because you've got an increase in spike proteins in your body. This information. So you've got these spike proteins that are being caused because your body is having an inflammatory response. Just like in the same way as your body will start to sweat when you've got a fever. Your body is having a response, and because of that response, and you take a test, or you say, let's say for example, we're in a biology class, and we take 100 people who've had this same response, and we test their saliva, and we find, oh look, there's something similar about all of that. Why don't we call it this?
Yeah, I know what you mean, because what it is the test itself can't detect the virus. It has to detect the response from your body.
And so all we're doing is we're saying your body is in a state of this, and it's creating a mark on my test. I've had my nephew, he had a test and passed as positive, and he said all I had was a scratchy throat. So just because his body was in a particular state, it was able to give it that signal to say yes, you got this thing, right? So that's not, and then of course there's this whole school of idea that actually a virus is not a real thing. It's a little bit like gravity. Yes, there's an effect, but what is the cause of that? You could say it's called virus, but I could say no, it's because inside your body there's a little nub of something that's going wrong, and that's causing an effect which we are now calling virus.
Yeah, it's possible. Oh, I was just going to say, you mentioned about the scoffing at quantum physics.
I
don't know if you noticed that these electronics we've got here, they came about because of quantum physics. So the theories were used to know. That's how they worked out how the. So I don't know if you know how transistors work. So you got what's it called? NP. It's like you got a N. What do you call them? There's two different substrates, and they like dope them with certain. They make them so that one of them can accept electrons, and one has electrons which comes out of it. And it was quantum physics they used to work out that this could work. And then once they invented the transistor using those theories, and then they shrunk the transistors, and that's when we got the CPUs. You know.
Okay. Well, I mean, without wanting to get too deep into that, I'll offer you this as a simile, and that is that when Marconi first fired a radio signal from England to America, or the other way around, everyone scoffed at him and said it's not going to work because it's going to smash right into the water. It's it's line of sight propagation. And so when it did work, everybody came up with this idea that it must be bouncing off something in the atmosphere, and that's how it's working. Well, this is again, it's like I could test something for years and come up with something that worked, but not know quite how it worked. And I'll say this must be how it worked because it bounced off the stratosphere. Well, we say, of course, on a flat Earth that it's going line of sight as these signals tend to travel, is line of sight. So the same is true with the Ethernet, and we live inside of an ether, which most mainstream scientists don't accept, is that we live inside of an ether. And so how these devices are connecting with each other is through propagating data packages or information through the ether. That's how these things are working. But they will have in quantum or in these other sciences, they will have a different reason to say this is why it's working, which is not anything to do with the ether.
Yeah, because going back to that, it says on there an electromagnetic realm. Because actually I thought of this before we got into all these other things. Is if the realm is electromagnetic, doesn't that mean then you'd be able to detect it with a metal?
With metal?
Yeah, this electromagnetic realm.
I mean, if you put a metal rod above a roof, what happens? The lightning will strike it. So that's a big electrical arc that'll happen because you created. In fact, we can take a thin filament and fly it up, say a mile, and on a balloon or whatever. And as we go up, we find that the charge increases by 100 volts per meter. I think that's the number. It's a while since I looked at that. But so we know that it's electrical. And we know that we live in a magnetic place because our compasses show that. Birds fly based on that. So I think that there is plenty of evidence of electromagnetism. You are an electrical system. Your heart is an electrical pump, or your blood is moved around you. In fact, a lady I used to garden for some 5 years ago, she said, my husband, he worked at King's College in London in the 1970s and early 80s, and he wrote a paper stating that he discovered that blood is electrical. And then a few months later, after publishing the paper, he was struck down by an off-duty policeman by his car, and he was never able to work and walk again. He was disabled after that.
Right.
Coincidence, I'm sure. But that we are electrical beings is, I think, quite easy to ascertain. I personally had an experience with ayahuasca in 2015, and when I was under the ayahuasca, the DMT, everything around me was, my eyes were wide open, my brain was working at 1,000,000%, and everything around me was light and frequency of vibration. So the trees, the pool, the walls, the bricks, everything, I couldn't see it as brick or tree. It was just light, pulsing light and energy. So that sort of set me off on this discovery of, wow, is this world anything like we were taught, this material world? No, it's electricity and magnetism.
Right. So when you, I see. So when you say electromagnetic, you just mean electrical, magnetic, or a combination of the two? Because when I see electromagnetic, I'm thinking of when you get a coil and you put a current through it. That's what I'm thinking of electromagnetic, where it pulls the metal in.
And so those forces of magnetism and electricity are so powerful. If you've ever seen someone use like neodymium magnets and a metal ball, they can get that ball run at 100 miles an hour. As quick as that, it's gone. So there is research that I came across that you might find interesting, which has got nothing to do with flat Earth, but it's called primer fields by a guy called David LaPointe.
Right.
Primer fields, where this guy takes a glass chamber, fills it with a gas, and then takes two magnetic bowls, cone-shaped magnetic bowls, and then fires an electrical current into that. And when he does that, you get this accretion disk forming between the two magnetic bowls. And that accretion disk, by the way, is an anagram for creation. And that accretion disk is what I believe we are standing on, between two magnetic poles, two magnetic bowls. And it requires the ether, and it requires electricity. L, the Trinity, L, the masculine electricity, Ma, magnetism, and the ether, which is the third part of it, which you need to create this realm that we live in.
Because you're saying
it's David LaPointe Primer Fields, Primerfields, Primer Fields, and he did this. He started with this about 10 years ago.
This is 2014.
There might be some more recent videos.
Yeah.
Primer Fields Part 1. Yeah, go for that one. He's done some new videos. Well, maybe 8 years ago. We're not gonna split hairs. 2014 would be 9 years ago. So forgive me. Out by a year, but Primer Fields is fascinating. When you watch that, I'm like, shit, man, that could be exactly how our Earth works. And when you look at the two bowls, it's like the owl. You know, there's so much symbology inside of those in those shapes.
Okay, wow, man, do you know it's this late?
Let me offer you guys some information. Take this information.
Yes, sure. Thank you. The children, they keep the beauty of the dunya. I don't need it. Yeah, it's not the kids.
I know you mentioned that. You know, and run down to the point. People will be left. It could be a bath, it could be an Olympic swimming pool, it could be a lake that you know.
وما غاب عن علم الله.
So is this did you have to be a courier or something?
Yeah, so what's this business that I happened earlier, man?
Oh, did you see it?
No, I came late, so I didn't.
Oh!
Yeah.
What was it? About the question of atonement.
Alright. Yeah.
And I showed him the hadith, which he didn't want to respond to it.
Not the one about
So so you were talking to that guy, obviously, about the Trinity and stuff like that. So what I was going to ask you...
Yes, it wasn't necessarily the Trinity we were talking about.
Do you believe the Trinity is essential to salvation?
Like, how you mean? Like,
do you believe, most people say if you don't believe in the Trinity, you're not Christian. That's what the majority of Christians say. I just wanted to gauge your thought.
No, I don't want to.
Show me your evidence.
I believe that the So from my understanding, why?
John is a John is telling us this God. John is saying in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Maybe you're different. Maybe I'm assuming.
God. So, no, is the word number one. That's right. Part of the word that is less. The word has taken up place. Someone is God. Loving, caring.
saying that. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, but how do I know these two pictures are not fake?
Unequivocally. That's right.
I don't think it's a fair question. Because if I said, okay, God could say that I am a Unitarian, then obviously it's not fair.
But God has on each and every
like I am one person. Within the body.
I have a body, I have a spirit, I have soul. Three in one. God has
I want to understand. I want to understand because I'm not looking to you. I don't think this will be. It's a learning moment for me.
The text is the same, but the UK translation is what you guys can say. As a Muslim, that does not exist. What you're saying is propaganda. Ask any Muslim here, say, has any of them has seen that version? Definitely. Bring me another Muslim who has seen it. The last person that I'm speaking to, there's Christians here. Are you not Muslim?
You alone.
What's the question? Have you ever heard of this? I've never heard of this title on the Quran. As a me, it's just the Quran. The Quran just says Quran.
Are you filming a debate?
Again, you use Christian propaganda. This is not Christian propaganda. I'm afraid to tell you that you need to go, but the text that you have on your phone, why are you afraid to go to Muslim site? To go to a Muslim site and check it out. It's not about that. No evidence. Why no evidence? Forget about what I have. It's not me. No evidence. I'm telling you the different versions. No evidence. I'm asking about the different versions of the Quran. You're not even willing to look it up. But there isn't none. Because what you have as evidence of the version with the rocks. I'm inventing it. No, please, as a human, use your eyes. Okay. The same evidence that you have. The Arabic text is the same. No, because your UK translation, that's the word which are highlighted. You're not going to a question being highlighted. Again, not a actual willing to accept what I'm showing you.
But there was a lot of them on there. Okay, I tried to stop it. One of the
and you check for yourself on an Islamic website. What is the difference between the Hadith and the I can't help you. I'm telling you, it's possible on the internet. A million people come up. I'm talking about what Muslims see.
So I actually asked him, so why is it that when the Muslims cause trouble, and not exactly, all the Muslims don't seem to stop them.
Quran is my source of information. Okay, so how do you know that the Quran that you have is accurate?
And what do you find? Because I wanted to ask him that because I knew that he was just going to shrug it off because that's what they were sent to do. So think about it, with us.
We have in Birmingham, has the same scripture as the Quran that we have here. It has an opener for the fitna. What is the difference?
have the best of manners.
I would imagine that a couple of hundred years after the Prophet's death. No, during the Prophet's lifetime.
None of them is doing anything.
How can it be? Then that would mean.
Actually, I might have to dig into this.
Some 20 years. Search that on your phone the day of the Birmingham scripture. Yeah, search that on the phone. This you can allow me to do it Google. But the previous thing you didn't allow.
Because you're making mistakes. That's right.
Yeah, the man, the Sharia man.
Yeah. One thing I need you to do,
yeah.
with your eyes.
What's the Birmingham manuscript?
Because I know that Lloyd Young, he talk about it, but I want to have to look up those specific passages. Because I think they does explain the response that we're getting. Why you'll notice that because I think it is the case that
Christian, when did you know that I'm a Christian?
Yeah, just talk
to me.
I've seen 70.
Yeah, you're making us look bad. You know?
600. Okay.
I tried to get something to talk.
This could even predate Muhammad.
Why are you calling a white man? Why are you calling a white man? That's what they said to me. You know, not meaning Bob, meaning Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's what they said to me.
Coming back to
One sec. Hold that there. Hold that there. Hold that there for me. Hold that there.
It's actually in the video on my channel where Asif he grabbed this Muslim guy.
I don't really believe in Google, but I need to show you something first.
When Usman grabbed
that same thing there.
Christians came around, Asif. Sorry, Asif. Yeah.
So
Asif
what's the date that you got there?
And so then when he let go of it, it was the Christians that came around and were saying to Asif, like, calm down, man. So they came and stopped him.
568.
And we weren't saying to the Muslims that go away and call them names.
So,
no, we were.
265.
Grown men, we are behaving like this for.
And they believe that this text was produced in 568.
This is a holy month. You're supposed to be at your best this month,
Yeah,
aren't
if you
you?
look at the Revelation date, it comes down to 610, yes?
Okay, so that's the thing. I looked
How
it
would
up.
they have measured that text? How would they have measured the age of that text?
When did Uthman standardize the Quran?
So I'm wondering, I don't know, that's another thing I might have to look up as well. Because obviously, there's going to be some Sharia rules about Ramadan.
There were people that were
And there must be something hidden in there which explains why Muslims seem to get more.
In Islam, we have a system, where anyone that can claim anything from the Prophet had to have been two eyewitnesses and a third person
where they try and right wrongs more. And of course, right and the wrong has to be with your mouth, your hand.
Yeah, but the message is still the same.
Etc. So it's as if there's something which is encouraging them to do it now in this
If I
month.
didn't agree with that, I would have classed myself as a Shia and he would have classed himself as a Sunni.
Now that we agree that there are differences,
not so much difference in the word of the Quran, in the translation of the Quran.
You can ask my man.
Arabic. Have the what?
Translation.
Have the house. Translation. No, not translation. I'm talking about Arabic. I'm not talking about translation like use of pictorial translations like that. I'm not talking about English translation. I'm talking about Arabic.
I'll debate anyone.
Translation. You have different Arabic Quran, which
I'll have fun, you know.
You're trying to tell me, would you go as far as saying that the Quran that's missing was not added?
in fact, there were things from the Muslim Quran that were missing. He's back. He's back.
It seems as if the Muslims are. We're trying to work out why is it that the older Muslims seem to be allowing the younger ones to cause trouble, and they don't stop them.
Siraaj, one Muslim talked to him.
You know the hadith.
That's wrong. Yeah, they should have stopped them.
Yeah, but it's as if there's something.
And the Sheikh was the worst because the Sheikh would have said to Siraaj and Bob, both of you calm down. Act mature. He said to both of them, calm down. He said the Sheikh pushed him. And then Bob pushed him back and then the Sheikh pushed him even harder. And then the fight broke out.
Remember, the Sheikh was doing the Sharia.
Like I said, like you said,
So he's following, the Sheikh is following Sharia law.
Do you agree that the Muslim
not really, but it would have been memorized. So you can't say
have the right to do not live here? The rights, they should have the right to have their own way of life.
If people, more than 2 people that the Muslim testimony, memorize this, it would have been in the Quran.
So obviously, all the questions which are being raised.
Like what? What they have done.
We have a criteria.
They don't. The majority they don't believe in those. Yeah, but I'm talking about the community.
But
They should have the right to live wherever they want.
They don't have that right.
Yeah, no, but they don't. Sometimes they don't have that right, my friend. I said to the gentleman that a Muslim lady wants to be a newsreader in BBC. She's eyewitness.
They refused it. It's important. It's very important. They refused it. So I'm saying that people do not have the full right. They don't have. In this country, they say, "Oh, you got the right," but they don't. They don't mean it.
Yeah, but do you realize that any country you go to, the only rights you have is to have food, sleep, and work. Those are your rights. Everything else whether they let you do it or not.
Yeah,
they don't have to.
No, my brother, I agree with that. But I'm saying that as a community, Muslims are living in here, and they should have the rights. They pay tax. They live here. You know, but there are things which they cannot do anything. For example, if they were trying to build a mosque somewhere along the Thames River, and there was objection. They didn't allow that.
Yeah, but how big was it going to be?
It was a big mosque. It was a mosque, you know.
Yeah, but how tall?
Does that matter?
No, yes, there's a restriction on how big a building can be.
It doesn't matter. But it was not massive, like the Tower of Westminster. Not like that. It's smaller, But even now, they objected.
But where was it along the Thames?
Somewhere in the East London, somewhere. And this one knows. And so they objected. They didn't allow it. They didn't allow it. The Muslims, they were disappointed because it shows that they say that you have got the rights, but they don't mean it. When it comes to this,
but remember what I said? It's to have food, clothes, a job. Those are your rights. So building a mosque isn't part of food and clothes, isn't it?
But my friend, we are living here in this country. It's a community. We don't have problem with synagogue. If somebody build a synagogue, we don't have a temple or a church.
So did they try and build a big one by the Thames? A big synagogue, I mean.
No, they didn't.
So then it's probably for the same reason.
No, but my brother, the Muslim community live in that area. They wanted a place. They wanted a place of cultural, and religious.
So all they got to do is find a bit of unused land by some park or something.
But that place is where the people belong. That's there, not too far from there.
By the river?
Yeah, by the river in the East London. And also Bengali, they live there. So they didn't allow it. They didn't. It shows that...
No. They would have given a reason for why.
And also the swimming pool. And the swimming pool, the Muslim woman swimming pool.
Swimming pool?
Yes, for Muslim women only. Swimming pool. My friend, where the swim? Because the Muslim women, they don't want to be seen. They reject it. They don't. It shows that there is no right.
Right. But that's no problem because, like I said, as long as you got your food, your clothes, and you can sleep, and you can get a job, then you've got all your rights that you need, isn't it?
Oh, hello. We're talking about because a mosque was rejected a long time ago because the Muslim community they wanted to build that and they didn't give permission. That's why I say the Muslim community they don't have their full rights. No, in here I'm talking about in London they don't have because they wanted to build the mosque.
It sounds very uneducated. If you've got something to say accurate, say it with a bit of
because they say it looks very Muslim.
In your belief,
it shows that it's, that's what it is. We're living in
what you're saying is nonsense.
In a multicultural country.
You go have this conversation with that person. You sound like an idiot to me. I'll be honest with you. For you to come even make that claim,
there's one big mosque. You're unjust region.
You know what I'm saying?
There's nothing.
You have no idea what you're talking
about. Not a big one. I mean,
which part of the Quran says this exactly? Please, as an educated man, show me. As an educated man, hear what I'm saying? No, come. Come what I'm saying. Why are you walking away?
The shortage.
Fucking pussy club.
The shortage.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Anyway, all I'm saying that we're living in a multicultural country, so you make a laugh of it, but that's what it is. We have to have the rights. We have to respect each other. You know. But whereas your friend, he doesn't. He's a troublemaker.
John was with Jesus. Matthew was with Jesus.
When I challenge him, he just.
You don't need a chain.
He said we don't support chopping hands and things. We don't want this.
The Gospels were written by disciples who were.
Oh my God! But
not all the 12. Which is
oh yeah, I see it.
not all the 12.
Oh my God!
For example, chapter 17, verse 1. Yeah, show me the verse. You're making an idiotic claim. Show me your verse. You have Quran? Oh, I do have a Quran, but you're making an idiotic claim. I'm not going to feed your idiotic claim.
The whale, the woman wanted to.
You can't say that the prophet.
No, a Muslim woman.
I don't even want to explain it.
And Newsfeed and BBC to wear a whale. They rejected.
Let him believe it. No, a donkey.
Not right.
It's not right. No, a donkey. Come on, don't sound stupid. That's not a donkey. In your Bible, the mention of a unicorn is mentioned. Right? In the Bible, have they not mentioned the idea of a horned beast?
But my friend, we don't talk about that anymore. I don't want to debate. I don't want to convince you Islam is true. I don't. I don't want to. No, I don't want you to accept it. I just don't want to convince you. I don't have time for that. But all I want you to accept that my community exists here. My community exists in here, in this country. My community,
as long as
a Muslim,
as long as we all are peaceful.
Yeah, they are. The majority, most of them are very peaceful.
Scared from
most
anybody.
Of them are peaceful.
Don't take over and let us pay jizya.
No,
we ain't paying no
we
jizya.
never do that.
Yes,
we
you did.
But that means you're not a true Muslim, though.
This is that.
If you have to charge jizya, or you're not a true Muslim.
Jizya.
Yeah.
Jizya is.
Fight or leave.
My friend, but
as long as there is no Sharia here,
there is no
we are
Sharia
happy.
here.
We are happy.
Are you happy? Okay.
Yeah.
There's no Sharia.
Wherever there is a Sharia,
yeah, thank you. There's no
they
Sharia.
will be squeezed.
Do you want Sharia?
They will
But
squeeze
Muslim community,
everybody
it is up to Muslim community. If they want
Sharia?
it, no, it depends to our community.
No, but do you want Sharia? Do you want
If my community wants it, I want
but do
it.
you want it?
If they
I'm
don't,
asking you, your own opinion.
no,
Do you want it?
in here I don't see it because it is up to my community. If they want to go have the right, they should have the rights to have it.
What?
They should go through the authority to have the rights to have the Sharia law.
Do you,
if they want to.
Are you willing
but you
to?
Shouldn't oppose it.
Are your Muslim people willing to give rights to
no, we don't,
minorities?
because we're not a multicultural country.
So if you are not
excuse me, we're talking about
give
here
rights to minorities, then how do you expect to get a rights?
Excuse me, nobody go to my country. Nobody go to Afghanistan. They don't go because there is no rights for them. But here we got the rights.
The moment, they are going to be upper hand, they are going to impose everything.
It's too dangerous to travel to Afghanistan.
No, but I wish they should come and live in my country. Yeah, they will.
It's too dangerous.
Well, you can't tell them that Afghanistan is beautiful country.
I want you to. Yes, it is.
It is
I want you
beautiful
to
country.
respect the Muslim community.
You mean apart from killing apostates and
brother,
shopping hands
we're
of
talking
peace
about the country and the land is beautiful. Their food is beautiful. Do you know what you know about the culture of Afghanistan? I am African and I'm telling you Afghanistan has got a very culture. Exactly. So tell me, where did you not get Afghanistan is bad?
So why are you here
Of
then?
course it's beautiful country. Wallah is beautiful. Mountains, waterfalls, green. Where did you not even know that?
Afghanistan is a beautiful
It is beautiful country.
Why people are hanging on the?
Why you Western people? Why you Western people have to go over there? If it's dead land, why the American liberation go over there? It's dead land. It's shit. It's nothing there. Why did they go over there?
Want to fly?
So all the Muslims should go to Afghanistan then?
I live in any Muslim country proudly and I'm happily because they do the Sharia and the law of God in there.
But you're still here.
Yeah, but if I could, I would.
That's what we are talking about. Because this man should accept him as a. You got to accept these people existing
Did you
here.
ever heard that
You're
any
Christian,
white
right?
man?
You want the Sharia law?
spiritual in Israel. In Israel. Would you go and live there?
No, but
would you go and live in Jordan? Remember, that's where Jesus is, and that's where Jesus walked around them places. Would you go live? Would you like?
It's not the real Israelites there. So
forget about them.
You're only saying that
Did any white man ever hang to the tires of a plane to come to Afghanistan?
No,
Did they
they don't.
They don't do it.
They don't.
Yeah? Only the Afghan.
Because we are needed here. We are needed. We are needed in this country. We are needed in this country. Yes, we are. We are needed in this country.
You are needed here.
Yeah, we are.
You are needed here.
Yes, yes, we are needed. So what's your problem? What's your problem with that?
In what way you are needed here?
With a lot of ways.
To be a terrorist.
No, to run the business, to live, to pay tax.
You are needed here. You are needed here to be a terrorist?
No, we don't. We don't. The majority of our community, they are not terrorists. They just live their life. On their daily life. You are a dishonest person. You know?
See, if you come...
Do you think the majority of Muslim communities...
If you come in a right path, everybody will welcome you. But if you come in a wrong path, everybody will kick you out.
But those people who came here, they got already the documents. Because they were in danger over there. Here, they come here. So what's your problem?
That man has no document who is hanging with a tire.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any document.
Yeah, but
he's just hanging with the tire.
Yeah, but he wants to come here
and
to join his community here.
Unfortunately, he's squeezed in the tire and died and fallen down on the ground.
My friend, doesn't matter what happened. Tragedy happened. Because it happened. But why we are talking about that one? We're talking about here. We're talking about in this country. What's your problem?
Yeah, but it's run by Muslims though, isn't it?
For example, excuse me.
If Muslims are so nice...
In Piccadilly Circus, there's a lighting now for Ramadan. A Piccadilly lighting for like Christmas, there is a lighting for Ramadan. And the mayor of London was there.
So what?
Yeah. So what I'm saying, what's your problem? What's your problem? People have got the rights in this country.
No, you should be thankful. You should be thankful that we have a big heart.
Yeah, we are.
To even let you enjoy your Ramadan.
We are happy. As long as our rights has been given, why you have got
so you should be thankful. And you should be praising this queen and this king here who is letting you to enjoy your rights.
But
here.
we are needed also.
Yeah.
Because we are needed. We generate money for this country.
What?
We generate money for this country.
No, you are generating terrorists.
No, we don't.
Here.
Yes. How bad he is.
Oh, you are generating.
Yes, we do. We do.
Come on.
Do you see that a lot of
your people, they are enjoying the money they are getting from welfare. Welfare, yeah.
But it's not for Muslims only. It's for everybody.
What?
It's not only for Muslim community.
The more Muslims
no, they are not.
More Muslims are
do you see that?
using wrong means to have.
But to be honest, that's not true. Believe me.
No,
there are lots of Muslims they work.
That's the truth.
They're working. A lot of them. Most of them they're working.
Most Muslims.
Yeah. They found Muslim families.
Yes. That's true.
Because some of the Muslims.
Let me give you the example. Let me give you
that's the language.
Muslims are.
It's not his problem. It's not his problem. Is it his problem?
And
it's not your problem.
They are demanding 4 houses. 4 houses.
But
pretend they're not married.
Yeah.
No.
They are going back and having a muta there and bringing their sister here. Their sister here.
Do you see that now you're insulting them?
No.
My friend,
it's not
all our
insulting.
discussion is just leave them alone.
No.
Now I don't want you to accept them. I just say
that is the truth.
Leave the Muslim community alone.
The Muslims are going back to their countries.
Yeah.
And having a muta marriage and bringing that wife to England.
Yeah.
Whereas that wife is their own true sister. True sister.
Do you see that? I don't know why you are talking all about those.
That is statistic.
I'm not.
That is statistics. That is not wrong.
We're not talking about that.
That is not wrong.
I'm talking about here.
That is the truth.
We're talking about here.
In Afghanistan.
Come on. I'm talking about here as well.
I mean, so you think the mayor of London is just somebody who's just... so if the Muslim community is so bad, so why should the mayor of London, they go inaugurate all the things for them over there? And it's legally. They can legally. In this country.
They are legally.
I think they're doing whatever they do it illegally. They're doing it.
Yeah, they are showing they are doing legal work, but basically they are deceiving. They are deceiving by going back to their country and having a muta marriage with their sister and bringing them here as a wife.
Okay.
Why in the Quran Allah tells Muhammad
No, they don't, because I've been there before and I've seen it myself.
You've been there before, you haven't been there the
I have been there under the Taliban. How about this?
Why?
Control over Kabul.
I don't know. I never come here to talk religion here, my friend. No, we don't. We just. I don't like want to convince him this religion is good. I'm just like an advocate. I just talk about the community living here. You know it. That's what the rights of the community.
Mary.
Yeah. Now
your auntie.
Who can answer you?
And your sister, step-sister. Yeah.
The people of the Afghan.
Why?
You can answer you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love this shit.
Yeah, they were doing.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah.
All of these in my backpack. I wanted to.
That's right. All of them. That's true.
They can't justify that.
No, they can't. They can't.
You tell them, they will tell you no from this month, from this year. If they would even be further down, great. That's how you need to practice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I understand why you feel bad. Ask why, and that's suddenly remember. Oh, it's bad marrying your mother, your sister. You're having this. Yes. Yeah. Why? And that's suddenly because
they don't have answer to this question. They are so.
So it's Bob? What's the same? Oh yeah, this guy.
you got the Matrix attire.
Oh, okay.
Chocolate myself.
Straight out of the mosque.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
So at first I thought he had a perfect beard, but then
man, I knew it was a mosque straight away. Otherwise, he's had a hard life. Have you had a debate?
He was over there before, but
and then you tell me what the answer is.
What's your definition of Muslim?
the Shia guy.
So now we have to. So now I understood from you two different words. No person was a
So you believe in God?
I do.
No, have I understood you?
You call your God Allah?
These are distinct and different.
That's Arabic
Hang on.
God.
Have I understood
You follow
you?
Muhammad?
No. You've understood from him, and I.
That answers that question.
It is. I can say that's definitely a stumbling block for me. If I'm going to become like a Sunni.
I mean, he's a perfect man, so that has to be matched.
Argument at some point.
Perfect man, 9-year-old. I don't know how that works.
Oh, thank you.
You follow Jesus provided any substance. And is that a deal breaker for you?
I mean, it does feel like it's more problem that needs to be solved. Why?
The first time I heard that, I actually didn't believe it. And I remember the first time I heard it, and I went, oh, what's that happened? When I realised it was God, all this is
you know, one is apparently, Abbas told me about this, like some of the hadiths which are from Iraq area. Yeah, stuff came about all the time. So the stuff that Muslims might be ashamed of now.
Separate point I was making is that whether he intended it or not, yeah, because of these examples, we watch many of my conversations children who are Muslim. It's hard to tell because they can always say, he gave cover to wherever it's not that a man did it in that time, because in that time people never knew much. It's that the man was high up, people told him it was just an ordinary man who tried to say you might understand.
يعني أولهم على السادة.
When you look at and it becomes that true to his character, so God cannot sin.
And the answer will be no,
I disagree with you. I believe that God don't want to exist because in the Quran Allah said to tell us He is the first and He is the last. And as I said before, we cannot comprehend what is God. God beyond time and beyond space. We only know the things that God taught us, His sign, like He's one, He's the controller. That's a number, but that is not a number.
Okay, the idea that society needs to go up so bad that there's no way.
That's what your brain thinks.
They actually used to have like the Christian woman in like the hero.
So even in human terms, from everlasting to everlasting, is that not the Bible?
Of course, as you had the light ahead. So they look on them.
So I know a lot of Muslims they believe that. But in my understanding of Islam,
and so when you're in a society where it's like the power to
so from that answer that hey, come on, God, I could say amazing. I don't want to say this word because I don't want to speak against okay? But the point is, I believe that we cannot comprehend what is God, what is anything, but we
He's debating with him. I don't debate with this guy. And he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
So you can debate with him, not me.
I don't do age ratio.
Yeah, no do I really. No, because you brought up. So what do you want to say to him?
For me, I cannot accept the idea that my God, the Almighty God,
no, that's what I was telling you about, that you're coming from the Iraq region. Some hadiths come from the Iraq region.
But if it was true,
or he came like a human.
But if it was true, how would you feel about it? If it was, how would you feel if it was true?
Okay, I said, hey, how I could worship a member.
But
for me, that doesn't make sense.
But you tried to defend it though, if it was true. You tried to defend it. Okay. At least you admit that you would think about it.
don't believe in that. When you say so,
How 14
You're going hard.
And they came back later in a form.
Yeah, just go for the jungle.
Okay, so that has many forms, right? You can come to us now.
Going for the juggler, man. You're taking off prisoners. He's a nice guy, man. When you bring him, man, it was a horrible guy. He was different, but he's a nice guy.
Try to find Sam, innit, bro? You might.
Yeah.
So the question is,
I don't mind hurting Sam's feelings.
could be, and if he became a burning bush,
So they appeared in a burning bush.
okay, so could he became or appear like a tree or like a donkey or whatever? Why? Then we're gonna have God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, or burning bush.
Whenever you see God, he said like, coming in the form of something different. So we don't add the form to God. We believe that already the second person, Jesus Christ, is appearing as So the bush itself isn't part of Trinity, but Jesus Christ can appear as a man in the form of bush, as the pillar of fire. Yeah.
So the three in Trinity cannot be formed.
What he's trying to say is God is independent. He doesn't have Son.
How are you?
Yeah, alright. Yeah.
Warming up.
Yeah.
At that time I came out of the military and I just had finished my secondary education.
There's just they have bio rights. Everyone else has basically
Dead under the bed. Isn't it funny?
My opinion. Second time. Third time, he nearly killed Mama.
Slept with Ali's mother in the grave to ease the punishment of
If an employer can just not pay you, if an employer doesn't pay you, like a big name and accident makes it
I don't think what happens now. I speak about painful separation and blissful union. For instance,
This action. No, everything.
Rustling in the trees.
Oh, modern. Okay.
Basically, it's wrong for me to question.
For me,
I don't know what they do, it's not my business. Well, you know, like the worshiping of the golden calf. Yeah.
That's the name. Partly from its church, partly from diet. You're walking around. How are you? Suspicious. You look good. Keep on good debate.
How are you? It's like most people have gone.
A good debate.
I'm ready to travel to
Joseph.
Yeah, but all he talks about is Israel.
Yeah.
That's all he talks about.
If you think about it, like Jesus doesn't exist. No, Muhammad doesn't. No. They thought that. No, like stop it in there. Like they're always acting for the same things. At least in Israel, there's one fight, second fight, three fights. Something changes. There's a history. There's the Nazis. There's the Russians. There's the Ottomans. There's internal and external. Everything is changing.
Constant fighting.
Yeah, but it's a very complex issue. It's multidisciplinary. It's historical. It's different. Whereas in religion, they always talk about the same thing.
But the thing is, at least with religion, there's a bit of humour there. With the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, man, it's just misery upon misery on misery. It's just, we attack them, they attack us, we kill them, and they try to kill us, we'll take over the Alaska boss, now they'll stop us, and blah, blah, blah. And there's no real solution. I mean, the obvious solution is 2 states. That's the obvious.
I don't think it's a double solution. It's possible or desired.
What other solution is there? What other solution can there be?
Sadly,
you think one's going to take over?
I was born in Latin America. I have no skin on the game.
Okay.
When I see what's happening, the Arabs just keep attacking. Meaning the Palestinians' identity is based on hating Israel, not making peace, not making a compromise, dialogue, debate. I give you 20, you live in here, you go to the LAs, we remove our population, they remove the population.
So you're not Muslim then?
Huh?
So you're not Muslim?
No, but Palestinian identity is based on
every Muslim I hear is pro-Palestine. None of them is 50-50.
That's another thing. Like, why is it that when you meet Muslims, all of them, 100% of them, they all think the same? And I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm from Pakistan. I'm from Pakistan. I'm from Pakistan, but Palestine should have it all.
And then you meet people from like Malaysia or like Nigeria in the middle. Like, bro,
all the same view.
Far away, fucking far away from anything.
And they'll still say, well, the Palestinians should have it all.
No, it's because of what it says in the hadith, isn't it? All the earth is allowed. So that means all of the area should belong to the Muslims.
And the worst thing is, like, they come from like really shitful countries. Like I was born in shitful. Like I was born in like poor, miserable place in Mexico. So when I went to the States, I understand that it's better for me to be in the United States than a poor neighborhood of there. And people from Pakistan or from Syria, instead of saying, bro, we should emulate what the Jews are doing in Israel, so we have a successful country, we eliminate poverty, we reduce, we have more medicine, we have more science, we have better universities, there's less terrorism, it's more dialogue. Instead of saying, bro, you have better clothes than me, what did you do in your life that you can give me 5 recommendations, I'll copy them, and I'll try to ameliorate my life. It's not like, no, bro, you stole it. You had to do something bad. You had to do something. Like, stop being jealous of the only successful country in the Middle East.
Because you have to argue, because you have to agree that when Israel Israel got given that part of the land. The part of the land they were given was a desert, and they had no oil, no gas, no natural resources. And look at the society now that they built, a high-tech democracy in the heart of the Middle East, surrounded by enemies. So you have to give them some respect. It's not like they had oil or gas like the Saudis, for example. The Saudis before they had oil, it was a desert, and so was Qatar and the Gulf states. But the Israeli Jews, they had nothing.
You're not supposed to say that, because then that means Mecca didn't exist. You have to say Mecca was this thriving metropolis, which was huge. Trade was going through it from all over the world.
Also, they say like, oh, the Jews, the Jews invaded Palestine. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Is there any Jewish temple in Mecca or in Medina? No. Is there any Muslim temple in Jerusalem? Yeah. So the Arabs are indigenous to the land of Israel. No. Where are they from? Where are the Palestinians from? Indigenous from Arabia. So go to fucking Arabia. The Jews have been there for like 10,000 years.
They did invade Jerusalem to conquer it. They did conquer the land. The Arabs did conquer it.
The Arabs conquer it. But like that's one of the questions. Like if you ask a random person on the street, you shouldn't go like, oh, because you're Mexican, because you're brown, because you're black, because that guy is Muslim, he's Christian. All the Christians think the same. That's ridiculous. That's totally stupid. But every time they meet a Muslim, all of them think the same regarding Palestine. So why? It's like they're all equally brainwashed to think and act.
No, and the people what you said is that they side with them because.
The other thing I should remember is not you realise that the Muslims, Islam is the only belief where they're directly programmed to hate others. It's not in any other belief. Hindus might attack they attack some other group, but it's not because it's not their belief. It's just something that they do. But
they fight those who don't believe in Allah.
Yeah, it's actually in the Quran that they should be against Jews and Christians. So it's a direct belief that Allah told them to have. So that would explain why it's biased.
Like there's no diversity of thought in Islam. That's something that really shows. Like you meet a Muslim and they're all the same. They're like, no, bro, why is it? You're 2 billion and you're all the same.
You do have one freedom, the freedom to
die.
No, the freedom to be a Muslim. You do have that freedom. Just don't change your mind.
Because just think about it this way: if you bring 10 Muslims, all of the 10 Muslims think exactly the same. If you bring 3 black people, they will think in a different way. 3 Mexicans or Latin Americans, different way. 3 Americans, 3 races. There's more diversity within 3 people from whatever kind of groups than 3 Muslims in general.
Because it's an insular culture, that's why.
Yeah,
I mean, they tell each other what to say.
You know that 75% of Pakistanis intermarry themselves. They're fucking their cousins. 75 here in the UK. In the UK.
You can't be a bit more diplomatic.
No, bro. They go like, what the fuck? I'm like, stop criticizing Pakistan. Bro, Pakistan is horrible, man. I don't want to go. No one wants to go to Pakistan. It's not even like you say like Mexico. Yes, there's violence, there's poverty, there's torture, but it has nice foods. Like people go there and there's 1 million immigrants. Has very good things. There's places in the world that are just horrible.
No, but there's one good thing about Pakistan. India's nearby. You can keep going. You can keep going, and you'll end up in India.
But they reproduce themselves too much. That's the problem.
But there's still this big mystery, though, that notice the Muslims are never trying to solve it. Is why are people leaving Muslim countries if Islam is supposed to be so wonderful? If Islam was the most wonderful thing in the world, they're supposed to hate Jews and Christians, but they go to the Jew and Christian countries and leave the Muslims. So then that means
don't take the Christians and Jews as friends or protectors. Says the Quran.
Their countries are better.
It's kind of like we want Islamic law, but when we get it, we don't want it. We'll go somewhere else and try to. And then once we get there, we'll try to make Islamic law there. And then once we get it, it's almost as if it's not quite Islam.
And then they debate, we should have a right to religion in here. Like, bro, you're taking over everywhere in here, man. Stop it.
The point of the dawah is to bring people to Islam, isn't it? So if you bring more people to Islam, then you're going to have Islamic law. And then the society you're in is going to be like the society you try to escape from. And then you're going to run to another society to escape from that society. And then you're going to create the same society that you created. Until in the end, you go to Mars, and then you're going to create Ria and Mars.
I'm going to see what his jokes are saying.
All right.
Good meeting you. And, nice to meet you too.
Do you agree with him or
What do you say this? It's kind of like a drag.
might go on in a minute?
Yeah, I think that's going to hit because I'm not going to work to do.
You stepped in, yeah? I'll see you next time, yeah? Take it easy.
Because it's just I have to I've got to try and finish it off this week. So if I can get it done, then maybe later on, other weeks I'll stay later.
And even have a master's. And it's true. And they are running the country now. And it's because you didn't vote. You didn't vote when you should have.
They shut the underground.
And you didn't take part when you should have.
How could any of this? Yes.
Just take
the Siraaj thing really showed me. I mean, I thought when Hatim got stabbed, and I didn't see one Muslim go to we got a witnesses, but it's sad that the sad what happened. And then
If you want to be notified when I release any videos, then just click on subscribe, and then click on the bell, and select all. And so then you'll receive all of the notifications for when I release any videos.
Should your personal decency surpass anything else?
No, you're supposed to be a slave of Allah. You know what slave means? Yeah, so when Allah says, you should hate those who Allah hates. And here's what the problem is. People who like hating, they'll become Muslims. So if you're a sort of person who likes hating people,
you're angry with the world, you're angry with the West.
Yeah, would you become a Christian? And then you got to read what Jesus said.
You got to love people, don't you?
Yeah, so you're not going to be.
Yeah.
Israelites will return to take down Islam.
About the beauty of Islam.
Yeah. And I'm always surprised at the amount of women they get as well. So obviously you can tell that they're good at making it sound good. Israelites will return to take down Islam.